legislative general counsel, and that was a conflict we felt was just not resolvable unless there's separate outside counsel provided.
I think it's the main reason I asked the question is just the cost. You know, you worry. And I don't know. Who knows if the initiative passes, the commission's impaneled. I have no idea. You know, I guess none of us do until it's in place. We look at it. How many complaints arise? If there was quite a few complaints, whether they be punitive or not, you know, it could run up a pretty good legal bill.
Number one, I will be surprised if there is a flood of complaints should this pass. And one of the reasons I say that is that when the House Ethics Committee met last year, at the conclusion of its proceedings, it unanimously issued a report. And in the report, it said, we are unsure what the ethical guidelines applicable to legislators are. And we believe there is a need to have those guidelines clarified. So by clarifying what is expected in terms of ethical conduct, we believe that it puts people on notice and that it removes an opportunity for people, because of mistake or uncertainty or lack of information, to get into trouble. We also provide a safe harbor provision so that if a legislator is concerned about particular facts possibly constituting an ethical violation, he or she may come to the commission and request a safe harbor opinion. And under that opinion, the commission can say, we've looked at these facts. We don't believe this constitutes a violation of the Code of Ethics. And so, Representative XYZ, you may not be charged with a violation of the Code of Conduct if you go forward on the basis of this opinion. There's probably something else that I overlooked, but that's my response.
Right. Would you state a name again, please?
Oh,
for the record.
If a legislator is accused of unethical conduct, why is the public citizen paying for their attorney fees? Why isn't that their responsibility?
Excellent question. That was what I forgot to mention.
I couldn't hear it. Would you state your question?
If a legislator is accused of unethical conduct, why is the public paying that legislator's legal fees? The reason we put that in was because, number one, we are concerned about the institution of the legislature, and we don't believe that this commission or this code of conduct should be a mechanism for harassing legislators. And one way of protecting legislators against that harassment is to immunize them, if you will, by not requiring them to pay their own legal expenses. The second reason that we have provided for public reimbursement of those expenses or payment of those expenses is what happened last year. And in that case, the legislator who was involved in those proceedings then, after it was over with, found himself stuck with a sizable legal bill. I don't remember what it was, but it evidently was $42,000. So to retire that legal bill, the legislator then invited lobbyists to raise the money to fund that defense. One of the things that troubles us is the notion of any candidate, but we focus here on legislative candidates, going to special interests and asking for money. Now, it's one thing for me to do that as a legislative candidate for my own campaign. We don't have public financing of campaigns. And so when I was a candidate, I asked for money from my friends, from my neighbors. I received campaign contributions from lobbyists, from various associations. And that's what happens today. I'm not troubled by that. I am troubled where candidates or legislators or any state officer goes back again and again and again to those same contributors asking for more and more money for this, that, or the other project. I'll state very publicly, I think it's appalling that our Attorney General takes money from industries that he's responsible for regulating, not just nickel and dime contributions, but tens of thousands of dollars from payday lenders. And and this troubles me, because there is, I believe, a corrupting influence of large contributions from particular donors. And those contributions are made with the expectation that something will be offered in return. That's my opinion. Others might disagree with that. But that's why we're providing for public payment of a legislator's legal fees. We don't want to further ratchet up that practice of going to the same lobbyist contributors again and again, particularly for money to fund the costs of legal representation.
Right here, Georgia. State your name again, please.
I just want to make one comment.
Georgia, I'm sorry, just again for the record, we need name and location. Yeah.
Oh, Georgia Peterson, I'm still here. Salt Lake City, wherever. I just wanted, you said, what really troubles me is the cost of your campaign. You are a new legislator. You said you spent $40,000.
No, I didn't say that at all. I
Said some were 40,000.
I said some campaigns, depending on
Oh,
where you're
I'm
located.
sorry,
No,
I
didn't say I
misunderstood
did.
you.
No, I'm sorry.
At any rate, the cost of campaigns has escalated so astronomically because of the funding that comes from the PACs to those interns who are already there, that it's just impossible for someone to even challenge a sitting legislator who can't possibly make the kind of money that is given to those legislators to keep their seats. And I think it's very hard for people. I don't know if you ran against an incumbent or if you just
I ran against a 16-year incumbent.
Yeah, it's just very difficult because, and I think it's atrocious that it has escalated to that amount. My husband spent $1,200 the first time. And then it went, I keep following these things. It went up to 6,000, 10,000, and now we're talking 40,000. It's just impossible to believe.
Yes,
Make
you
a
bet.
quick comment. I appreciate that. And I totally agree. I've seen campaigns. I remember when I first ran for city council, I spent $350. And then I ran unsuccessfully for mayor, and actually I won by losing. But it cost me $10,000. So I totally agree with that. One thing that and I don't know, maybe I can just take a poll. How many of you here have an idea of what we make as legislators, or how much money we're allowed to take on? Do you know how much we make?
I don't know exactly how much you make so much.
Around $6,500. I made more in city council than I did in the legislature. And
Does that include other benefits?
Well, with per diem, but see, we have to spend our per diem because we live in southern Utah and have to go up there and use it. Now there are, and this is one area, and I know Brad tried to address it a couple of years ago. The guy that lives next to the Capitol gets the same per diem that we do living down here. So that's a concern.
I understand it because I've been on state boards where we've got nothing.
Sure.
Everything we've got zero.
And I know they're working on a fix, and those are kind of things, but, and I know that there's been provisions changed in like campaign funds. For example, it used to be that a legislator could walk away with those funds. Now, that's not currently the case. You have to donate it to an institution or some type of charitable institution, so you don't get to walk away with the money. And I'm sure there's probably some loopholes in there that I haven't figured out, and somebody else has, but those are, I know, oftentimes I hear, well, all this money you're making and stuff, we really don't. I mean, Don and I own our own businesses, Brad runs his own business, if we didn't have those opportunities, I've got 2 kids that graduated from pharmacy school, they're back helping me. If we didn't have those kind of opportunities, we couldn't do it. So it's good service, I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate the discussion.
Thank you. Carmen?
Well, Carmen Snow, Washington County. I've never felt that our legislature's making any money.
No.
I know they don't make any, they're not there to make the money. But what our complaint is that the special interest groups that donate to
Okay.
campaigns.
Another comment?
I had one more question, get back to the attorneys that the legislators have to use. Is there going to be any cap on this kind of a thing? Because I know sometimes attorney fees can be atrocious.
We don't have a cap in the bill, and this is one of those things that we're just going